Welcome to Sir RP's channel. In this video, we are going to learn how to solve for the sums and products of the roots of quadratic equations. We have this most essential learning competency. The learner describes the relationship between the coefficients and the roots of a quadratic equation. This is the fourth learning competency in Mathematics 9. So, learn and love math with Sir RP. Let's start our discussion with this table. Identify the roots of the given equations for us to solve the sum and product. We have x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. Recall the methods in solving quadratic equation discussed in our previous videos. We have factoring, extracting the square roots, completing the square, and quadratic formula. For the first equation, we have -2 and 6 is the roots. By there, when we add the 2, we have -2 plus 6, the sum will be 4. And when we multiply -2 and 6, it will give us a product of -12. For the second equation, we have 3 and -4 as the roots. Then when we try to add 3 and -4, the result would be -1. And multiplying the 2 will give us -12. Again, for us to solve for the roots of quadratic equation, we are going to use the different methods in solving quadratic equation. So we have the following methods: extracting the square roots, completing the square, factoring, and using quadratic formula. This is how we solve for the sum and product of the roots of the quadratic equation. But in the next slides, I'll be showing you the formula for us to solve for the sum and product using the quadratic formula derived from the standard form of a quadratic equation. So here it is. When we try to solve for the sum, simplifying the sum of the roots, basically we'll add the two roots. But in this case, we can use the formula -b/a. Same as with simplifying the product of the roots, basically, we're going to multiply the first and second root. However, we can use c/a. For instance, the first equation. The value of b here is -4. So that is negative of -4. Then the value of a is 1. So negative times -4, that is +4, divided by 1, the result will be 4. So that is the sum of the equation 1, which is still 4. Same with the product. For number 1, the value of c is -12, and the value of a is 1. So -12 divided by 1 is -12. And that is the same with what we solved earlier. You can do the second example. So again, for the sum, it's just -b/a, and for the product, it's just c/a. But sir, how did you come up with this simplified version of finding the sum and product of the roots? As I've mentioned earlier, these are from the quadratic formula. For the sum of the roots of a quadratic equation, we determined that the general form of the two roots can be written as this. Remember the quadratic formula? We just separated the two, the plus and the minus, or the positive and negative. So we have x is equal to -b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And we also have -b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Then add the 2. To find the sum, we add this together. So adding the 2, we'll have this result. -b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac minus b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Then from there, since these two are opposite, so we can cancel it out and we will get -b minus b over 2a. -b minus b is -2b divided by 2a. And then -2 divided by 2 is, of course, -1. That is -b over a. That is how we solve for the sum of the roots. negative b over a. Now, for the product, the same process, but you'll just multiply. Multiply the two, we can use the general form of the roots to find the product. Multiplying the two, we can apply the FOIL method. So here is the solution. So by that, we multiply the two using the FOIL method. Then from here, we can cancel out this one since these are opposite. Then we have b squared minus b squared minus 4ac. Why is it b squared minus 4ac here? Because we took the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So again, from here, that is square root of b squared minus 4ac. The result is b squared minus 4ac. Then next, we're going to simplify that. That is b squared minus b squared is, of course, 0. Then since this is negative, negative times negative is positive. This is negative. Negative times negative is positive. So we have positive 4ac divided by 4a squared. Note that this is squared. So there are two a's. So when we try to simplify this, 4a divided by 4a, this one, then what is left is c over a. And this is our product of the roots. That is the proof of our simplified sum and product of the roots. Now note that our learning competency is for us to characterize or determine the relationship of the roots and the coefficients of a quadratic equation. We have this relationship. If you are asked to form a quadratic equation or give the quadratic equation given the roots, get its sum and product, and plug in the values to form a quadratic equation. So use this form, x squared minus sum x plus product is equal to 0. Let's try our previous example. So that is x squared minus sum x plus product equals 0. So we already have the sum and product. So we'll just substitute the sum and product here. So this is x squared minus s for sum, okay? S for sum, x plus product for p equals 0. Okay, so let's try number 2 this time. Okay, so we have x squared minus sum is -1, so we'll have it -1x plus the product is -12. Okay, so that is -12 equals 0. So from there, we simplify that. That is x squared. Negative times negative is positive 1. So that is x. Then positive times negative is -12 is equal to 0. So we now have this the same as the given equation. We just used the sum and the product of the roots. Of course, the sum and product is from the given roots. Okay, so that is how we solve for the quadratic equation if the roots are given. Again, remember that you just need to get its sum and product first and then plug in whatever is the value of that sum and product of the given quadratic equation. Are there any questions? Let's solve another example. Okay, find the sum and product of the roots of the following equations. You can use the simplified form of the sum and product of the roots. Remember, sum is -b over a and product is c over a. For the first equation, the key is you need to find or identify first the values of a, b, and c so that you will just plug in the value to the given formula. For the first, we have b is +7 and a is 1. Then, substituting that to the given formula -b over a, we have -7 divided by 1, it's -7. So take note that the coefficient of the quadratic term is 1. For the product, we have C over A, so the value of C is 12, and then the value of A is 1 dividing the 2, we'll get 12. 12 divided by 1 is 12. That is for the first example. Now, for the second one, we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 20 is equal to 0. Take note that our value of p is negative, and the formula is also negative. So this is negative 3, and the formula we have negative. So that is negative of negative 3 divided by the value of a, which is 2. So multiplying negative with negative 3 will have positive 3 divided by 2. That is already the sum of the roots of the first equation. For the second equation, we have c, which is equal to negative 20, then divide by 2, that is negative 10. 2 is the value of a. Any question? If you have some questions, please use the comment section. And that ends our discussion for the sums and products of the roots of quadratic equation. Again, we have this most essential learning competency. The learner describes the relationship between the coefficients and the roots of a quadratic equation. I hope that with the examples given and with the discussion, you were able to achieve the target, and you can now describe the relationship of the coefficients and the roots of a quadratic equation. Now for your task, you're going to find the sum and product of the roots of the following quadratic equations. Number 1, x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 0. And number 2, x squared minus 8x plus 6 is equal to 0. For your answers, please use the comment section. And that ends our session for today. I hope that you learned something from our short discussion. Thank you, Quipper Philippines. Once again, thank you and happy learning. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button to receive updates. This is Sir RP.